Hi, welcome back. So in this video, we are going to study about three new concepts. First is MDN, then we are going to talk about HTML comments, and then we are going to talk about HTML attributes, tag attributes. So let's start. So the first thing we are going to talk about is MDN. MDN stands for Mozilla Developer Network. So what MDN is basically it is a resource for getting all information about HTML, CSS, and other open web technologies. We are going to use it for HTML and CSS, so you do not need to worry about the other open web technologies. So to show you what it is, let's go to Google and search MDN. So here we have MDN, developer.mozilla.org, and so this is their homepage. This is like some blogs, and we are not going to go into this. But what we are actually going to use right now is MDN element reference. Or you could first go to the HTML page on MDN right here. So you can see it's developer.mozilla.org for HTML. Right? So here they have information about what HTML is and its basic info from the very basics. But you already know this. So the thing that we are going to use is this HTML reference that we have right here. So this is actually a quite useful resource, this HTML element reference. This is actually a quite useful resource because in reality, we have more than 100 tags in HTML. And honestly, you're not going to remember all of those. Neither do I. So whenever you need a new tag or whenever you're starting on something or you need a new tag attribute, we'll talk about what an attribute is in this video. So you're going to come to MDN and then you're going to read about it here. Why? Because it has extremely good examples and explanation. So to show you what actually it does, the first thing, if I scroll down here, you can see that it has the HTML tag, base, head, link, meta, style, and if I keep scrolling down, it has all the tags present in HTML in any version, right? So I can just keep on going down here, and you can see we have a lot of tags here. It has this separate, obsolete, and deprecated elements, which you won't use in the newer versions of HTML. So here's a list of all the HTML tags. Now you can see how many there are. So we're obviously not going to remember all of those, right? So what we are going to do is, we will know some of the basic tags, and whenever we need a new functionality or a new element, when we don't know how that's done, we'll search for that element on MDN and we'll study about it. So why is it good? Let's just go into the head tag once and see why MDN is actually quite helpful. So we see head, the document metadata header element. So it gives us the permitted content that can go inside. We already know that the title can go inside it and other metadata. So the next thing, we can see the permitted parents. It tells us that only parent to a head tag can be an HTML element, which was evident in the intro video, right? Inside the HTML, we have the head and the body. And so head is always under HTML and as its first child. The order does matter, right? So the next thing that's good about MDN is the examples. This is a really basic example because head is actually a quite basic tag. But if you were looking for some other tags, we'd see really good examples and you'll be able to understand how it's actually done using these examples only, right? And then we have a browser compatibility thing. This is because there are loads of browsers out there and not every tag and not every attribute they have, again, you don't know what an attribute is, will work on all the browsers. So this table right here tells us all the browsers, lists all the browsers and tells us if the tag we are talking about will work on it or not. So this will be quite helpful as we move along. We'll study about all the new tags we see on MDN before actually moving to the compiler, and you'll get to see why it's helpful then. Right. So the next thing we're going to talk about is comments. So comments are simple lines of text in any programming language used for documentation purposes. That's it. That's something that I've written, that's kind of formal definition. But to see what's actually the use of comments, let's move to the compiler. So this was an HTML document that we wrote in the first video, right? Now this is a pretty small document, a 12-line document. We know what every line here is doing, except these three because you've not studied them until now, these three. But in effect, when we are writing a code this small, we'll obviously know what we're doing, right? So this is not a problem, and this is not where you'll need a lot of comments. The problem comes in code that looks something like this. Now this is some back-end JavaScript, so don't worry about it. But you can see that it is 154 lines, right? So we need to know what's happening where, and this is covering a lot of functions, okay? Like everything related to a single entity on a website is being controlled by this. So obviously we need something to know that, okay, this line is doing this and this line is doing this, because if in the future we need to actually change something in this, or debug something in this, it won't be quite easy to actually come back to this code after 2 years and get to know, oh, that's why I wrote this. That's not going to be easy. So that's where comments come in, right? This, what you see here, is a comment. This, what you see here, is a comment. So what actually is a comment? A comment is a simple line of English text or any text you would want that does not affect your code, right? So I've written except image files only here. So that is for my own documentation. That is for me to see that, okay, this if statement is doing something to ensure that only image files are accepted. So you don't need to know what accept I'm talking about here. So only image files are accepted due to this line of code right here. And so here we have list grounds, means the code following this is listing grounds, add ground. So you see what's happening, right? And it's not that they make any difference to the HTML code. Most of the compilers would remove these comments before actually translating your code into a website or any other thing, because comments are present in every programming language, not just HTML. So in HTML2 you might have 200 lines of code or 300 lines of code at some points if you're making a complex website. So that's where your comments would come in. You will need to put different comments at different places for documentation. Like, this is what I'm doing here. So let's just take a simple example that I wanted to say that this is my main heading, right? So I go there, and so how you do a comment is you use one angular bracket, you put this right here, you put two dashes, and like this is autocomplete by VS Code, but then you put two dashes here and another angular bracket, and everything you write in between here will have no effect on your website, right? If I open the website right now, it won't show up. Let's just try that one. So if I open this with my Google Chrome, then I can see that nothing happens. If I remove this, even then nothing would happen, right? I will refresh this, nothing changes. So that's what a comment is. It does not actually have any effect on your code, but it helps you keep track of what was happening there. And you'd normally put a lot of comments in a good structured code and a long code. So this is how you put a comment, and normally typing this out becomes really tiresome and really irritating. So you could just do something like you put anything here, and then you could press command plus slash as a shortcut in VS Code. And command is for Mac users. You could try control plus slash for Windows. So let's just put a meaningful comment here. Like, this is the main heading of my page. So I press command plus slash here, and this becomes a comment. So if I come back to this code after 2 years or 3 years to add something or to debug something, I'll know that this was an F1 and this was the main heading of my page right here, right? So that's what a comment is. So now let's move to the next thing, which is HTML attributes. So what is an attribute? So to know about an attribute, it's better that you know about the link tag first, so that we have an example to use for this, right? So what is a link tag? So imagine you are on a website right here, and you can see they have a lot of links. If I press on this title right here, it takes me to the title tag. Or if I press on the script right here, it takes me to the script tag. So this is a text behind which there is a hidden link. So this script right here is a text behind which we have a hidden link. And if we click on this, it takes us to that link. So that is what we need the link tag for. And the link tag is not like this link. You might have seen this, but this is for linking files together. This is not for that. So what we use to make a link is the A tag, right? So A is used to make a hyperlink. Hyperlink is a normal word that we use every day, and this is known as a hyperlink. Like you will have a text, and then you will have a link, and on the back end, on the back, that will take you somewhere where you want it to take you, right? So the A tag is used for this, and what we do in A is we put the text we want right here. Yeah, so the text we want to put on our web page would be right here. This is a link. Let's just use an example, right? So we'll put this is a link here. So if we refresh this, we'll see this is a link. But right now, this is normal text because we have not told the A tag where we want this link to take us. Right? This could take us anywhere if we click it right now because we have nothing specified. It will not take us anywhere. But you see what I'm talking about. We need to have a link that this will take us to when we click on it. So that is added by doing href is equal to, and then we'll add the link in here in between the quotes. So let's say we want this to take us to google.com. And now if we refresh, and this says your file name was not found. This is something that will understand why this is happening when we get to the backend and protocols. So if you just need to add https:// here, and this will take you to Google, and you see that now when you refresh this and you click on this, this takes you to Google. Now you could do www.wikipedia.org and you could refresh, and then now the link is updated. You click on it and it takes you to Wikipedia. So you see what's happening, right? This is a link, and you'll have a lot of links in your website hidden behind a lot of things, right? So now let's see what an attribute is. So we wrote this href right here, and we gave it this. So this is an attribute. What an attribute does is it gives you additional info about a tag. It gives you extra info about the HTML tag that you're using. So href gives us this additional info about the A tag, about where it should take us. And we'll see a lot of attributes when we move forward. And some of them might be named. There are hundreds of attributes. Right? So this is what an attribute actually means, and you'll get a better idea when we use more of them. Currently we've used only one named href, which tells us the link to which our A tag should take us to. But A tag would also have a lot of links. Right? A tag would also have a lot of attributes. So if we go to the HTML element reference and we search for A, and we search for A here, it shows a lot of, because A is quite common. So we could do something like this. Okay, so we get the A element. So you can see the demo, and this is what MDN is really good at, giving us demos. So you can reach Michael at ignore what this P is, ignore what UL is, ignore what LI is. UL means unordered list and LI means list item. We'll move on to that later. But have a look at this A right here. I'll probably remove all of this. So I've removed all the tags that you don't recognize right now. And so now we have the A tag with href is equal to example.com, and it says website. So here we can see it shows the website, and then you could have, and if I click this, and it will try to take me to example.com if something like this exists. So it is an example domain, of course, so that's really nice. So if I press on email, it will have a mail. This mail too is something that will open a pop-up window to mail to this particular ID right here. So forget about this. We'll learn about it when we actually need it. And this is a telephone. Like you can see what's happening, right? We have some text and we have a link behind it, and when we click on that text, we activate that link and we go to that link. So that is what an A tag does. And one more thing that I'd like to show you, which is not related to attributes or the A tag from this, is that everything I've put in here is on separate lines, but in the output it shows on the same line. This is because this HTML does not pay heed to all the blank spaces you put in between. HTML will consider all of this to be in one line. So basically writing it like this or writing it like this is the same thing, right? This does not go up because of less space, but it does not care about the spaces. So you would normally make a block level element, which we'll see what is later, or you could use the BR tag right here, which means break. So you will break this, and you see everything moves into a new line. Now this is not something you usually do, but for now you can see that this is how you would move things into new lines if you wanted to, because HTML ignores the spaces that you put. This is just some general thing about HTML. This is not related to specifically a tag or attributes. So now you see we have this attribute section here. So these are the attributes that you could have in an A tag. You don't need to know all of those right now. So you could have a download attribute, href. We've seen what href does. The URL that the hyperlink points to. Links are not restricted to HTTP based URLs. They can cause any URL scheme supported by browsers. So we need to put HTTP because Google uses HTTP. But if we were doing some own web page of ours, we would probably not have to do it depending on what the condition is. And hreflang, ping, refer policy. So these are all the attributes that A has. So you can see that all of them have different functions, and that's what an attribute does. So that's all basically. And MDN also shows us that they're obsolete since HTML5, and it shows us that okay, this is new in HTML5. So that's why MDN is helpful, and that's what an attribute is. So that's all for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.